Yo, welcome to the channel. In this video today, we're going to be going over the Magicka Templar, a very easy to get build, a very easy setup to get. So the moment you hit 160, you should be pretty well set off to be able to farm the rest of your gear, or even get whatever it is that you need. So let's go ahead and dive into it. My max Magicka is 35k, magic recovery is 1.2, maximum health is 17k, spell damage is 2.1, unbuffed, and spell crit is 54.5. Now, I'm Britain. I have 54 points. I have 50 points into Magicka and 14 points into healthy. If you feel like you need more Magicka, you can definitely take away some points in health and get around there. Britain is probably the lowest magic class, because number one is high elf, followed by dark elf and Khajiit right there at number 2 and 3, and then you have a Britain. It's pretty far behind the other ones by quite a bit. So, but this is a really easy setup to get. The boon that I'm running is the Shadow as well. So, we're not really using any of the vampire skill lines. Not really anything to be worried about. I've just been bitten. I haven't actually went along with it. So, champion points. 20 Warlord, 21 Sprinter, 13 Bashing Focus, 64 Tenacity, 64 Arcanist, 44 Shadow Ward, 34 Tumbling. Now your main two will be your Arcanist and Tenacity. These are your first two. Increase your magic recovery, increase your Magicka when you fully charged heavy attack. After that you have options. You could either focus on your roll dodge, your block, or even sneak, as long as you put 75 points here into Treasure Hunter. Because what this does is this increases quality of items you get from chests, whether it's dolmens, trials, overland, dungeons, whatever. If it's a chest, you have a chance of getting better quality items. Or you can focus on reduce cost and break free, reduce the cost of sprint, reduce the cost of bashing if you find yourself. You can't go wrong with either one. It's just whichever one you want more. But as always, Tenacity and Arcanist should be your primary focus in the green tree. Now in the red tree we have 27 quick recovery, 11 bastion, 64 hardy, 64 elemental defender, 34 light armor focus, 34 ironclad, 36 spell shield. Now this is kind of just a general rule of thumb of what I run around with. Depending on the trial you're doing or some DLC dungeons, you should adjust your CP points accordingly. But if you don't really care to, this is a really good setup just to run an overall setup. Hardy elemental defender being your main two, followed by ironclad. Once you get ironclad to like 26, 28, whichever one it is, start focusing on. You can focus on spell shield, light armor focus, or if even your if healing received, if you wanted to. So, in the blue tree, 56 March, 16 staff expert, 61 master at arms, 12 spell erosion, 64 elemental expert, and 61 elfborn. Elemental expert and elfborn will probably be your main two, followed by Master at Arms and Thermometer, and then Staff Expert and Spell Erosion, but your main two being Elfborn and Elemental Expert. So, that's it for the champion points. Gear. Very easy to get. Dark Staff of the Ward Maiden. This is the Ward Maiden set. It comes infused. Now, Precise is better, but this comes with infused. The quest to get it is very easy. I've done it on 2 characters. So they're flame staffs. So I've got my back bar is infused with a weapon damage enchant, and of course my front bar is infused with an absorb Magicka enchant. If you wanted to, you could put a flame damage enchant here as well. I mean, that would work out just as well. But if you're having sustain issues, absorb Magicka enchant is the way to go. You can always get one of these and transmute it to Precise. Now, what this set does is that it gives a spell crit, max Magicka, spell damage, and then it adds 586 spell damage to your magic damage abilities. If this is fully golded out, it will be 600 spell damage to your magic damage abilities, and pretty much everyone except for one is magic damage. So this buffs that tremendously. Now, we're running jewelry as well. War Maiden, all arcane, all spell damage. Now, if this was gold too, which you can get gold War Maiden jewelry, they have been in the vendor before. You will have 600. If not, you're just at 586. But even then, that is still pretty high. And pretty high boost. Now, where you get the staff, I want to say I've done it on this quest, on this character. I'm not 100% sure. I have. It's right up here. you're going to run up here. You're going to do a little quest for this town here. And then there's going to be a quest giver right here. It takes like maybe 10 minutes, 15 if you want to read everything. She'll send you around to close up Daedric portals, and you just kind of got to go around the map. There's a few spots, and there's 4 spots, and you just close them up. And you come back to her, and she gives that to you. Overall, if you have somebody that can port you there, that's better. If you don't, you start off with this way shrine right here. Of course, it's all the way on the other side of the map, of course, because that's where you need to be. So why wouldn't it be on the other side of the map? If you don't have anybody in your guild that can take you there, you can just run. If you're going to run, I would highly suggest using rapids. Just run up there. So, now, doesn't take long to do that. You can do it on multiple characters if they're at 160, or even if they're not 160. If you have done it on a lower character, or if you have a lower level character that hasn't done it yet, you can do it, and then it will go into your sticker book. So that way, it will be in your sticker book under War Maiden, and you can just go back and reconstruct it. And you can reconstruct it in Precise. You can reconstruct it in Infused. You can do whatever it is, or Nern, whatever you want. But in that case, so if you have lower level characters that have already done it, as long as you have it in your sticker book, you can reconstruct it. It's really nice. So now you don't have to do the quest on multiple characters. You can do it on one and just remake it for transmutation crystals. So, now, the monsters that we're running is Neuronth. I've been using this for a long time. I just kind of like it on the Knight. I just kind of like it on the Templar. That's kind of all it is. It gives me spell damage. When I deal direct damage, I have 15% chance to summon a Leech Crystal that explodes after 2 seconds, dealing 12.1k magic damage to all enemies within 4 meters. This effect can occur once every 3 seconds. This goes off quite a bit, honestly. I mean, I'm pretty sure I can just walk over here and jab this and it'll probably proc it. Yep, there it goes. That's off of 1 jab. So, pretty much every jab, it will trigger it. So, it procs a whole lot more than what it should. So, and it does quite a bit of damage. We're running a heavy shoulder Divines with Max Magicka and a medium helmet Divines Max Magicka. Now, this could be a heavy helmet. It could, as long as it's medium or heavy, either one of them work. Now, if you don't have Neuronth comes from Crypto Hearts 2. You have options. Because we are, I don't know what I'm doing there. Because we are up close and personal, Grofstar is a pretty good one to have as well. You can always go with Maw, but you are up close, so you're going to have to be staring at that Maw butt too, along with the tank. So, pick your battles. It is a pretty good set too. So, you can't go wrong with either one of those. You can honestly go with Lambert's too. I mean, it's not one of my favorites. We literally only have one ability that does flame damage that we use. So, it still procs it quite a bit. But, I don't know. And there's also Valken Scoria. It's pretty nice to have as well. So, if you can really get in there, you can also go for Zons. Because, again, we are up close and personal. So, this could help out quite a bit. So, this does quite a bit of damage as well. And we are extremely close. So, now, our second 5-piece set, not our second monster set, but our second 5-piece set is Robes of Mother Sorrow. Or Mother Sorrow, not robes. It is a robe, but it's just the Mother Sorrow set. We're running it all on the body, all Divines, all Max Magicka. The reason why we're doing that, it's because we want this static at all times, and we have War Maiden static at all times. But honestly, you can, once you get your Maelstrom Staff, you can definitely put this on your back bar and just run Dark Staff, War Maiden on your front bar. Now it falls off, so it's not as good as, let's say, like Burning Spellweave or Scathing Mage, Draurikins, Moonhunter, any of those sets that give you a ton of spell damage but allows you to bar swap. Because this isn't static. This will always be static. This is not a proc, so it stays on like any of those other sets. The moment this leaves your bar, you lose that extra spell damage. So, once you get your Maelstrom Staff, I would definitely see about swapping War Maiden out with Scathing Mage, Burning Spellweave, or any, those sets. So, but Mother Sorrow comes from Deshawn, and honestly, I feel like with the changes they made to crit, you've got to have most classes. I think except for the Nightblade, I want to say maybe the Necro, you need this extra crit from the monster set. I think that's really the only way to really still put up consistent numbers. Because outside of that, even with a precise staff and inner light and all that stuff, your crit's only going to be at 45k. Or 45%, not 45k. My bad. So you definitely need one of these sets like this. You know, Nightblades and Necros, they all have built-in modifications. Like Nightblades, they get more crit based on certain abilities. Necros, once they get in that execute phase, depending on how many little skeleton blast bone abilities with Colossus and stuff like that, they can gain an extra 30 to 40% crit, just depending on what they're using as their spammable. So they don't necessarily need something like this as much as, let's say, like the Templar, the Warden, the Decay. You know, they need a crit set. That's just how I feel. That's what I think. If you disagree, let me know. But this comes from very easy to farm. You know, chest, legs, public dungeon. Same thing with they come from world bosses. Hands, legs, and chest are the public dungeon bosses or world bosses. Beast and boots come from delve bosses. So it may take some time, but it's very easy to farm. It can be relatively expensive to get, but if you run a lot of random dungeons and you have transmutation crystals, you can pick this stuff up off trait for cheap and then just reconstruct. Grab the handful that you see under 10k or under, and then just reconstruct the rest from cheap gear. You know. But skills. Our main spammable is puncturing sweeps. We launch a relentless assault, striking enemies in front of you 4 times with your spear. This 0.2k magic damage to the closest enemy and 1.2k magic damage to all other enemies. Each reduces the movement speed of the closest enemy by 40% for 1 second. You heal for 40% of the damage done with this ability. That's pretty much it. Now you can use other abilities as your spammable, like Force Pulse, or Crushing Shock, or Elemental Weapon. But puncturing sweeps, I don't know. I've been rolling with it for a long time, and that heal is just really nice. Plus, it's an AoE ability. Purifying Light, summon an expanding beam of pure sunlight to doom an enemy, dealing 4.6k magic damage to them, copying all their damage taken from you for 6 seconds, and releasing 20% of it as additional magic damage to them. Maximum copy damage, 21k. When the effect ends, a pool of sunlight remains attached to the enemy, healing you and nearby allies for 1.7k health every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. This is the very first ability you get in the Spear line. Purifying Light is the third ability that you can get. So, these two alone, you can heal through just about everything. You know, especially on normal stuff. As long as it's not a one-shot, you're going to be fine. Degeneration. Bind an enemy with a chaotic magic, dealing 13.8k magic damage over 10 seconds. Excess magic spills out from them, granting you major sorcery, increasing your spell damage by 20% for 60 seconds. This allows us to get away with using trash pods through all normal dungeons, and most vet dungeons, depending on the DLC dungeons. I still tend to use essence or Spellfire pots, but if I'm running vet, Crypto Hearts 1, Mana Cells 1, I'm just using trash pots and using Degeneration. That's it. Radiant Oppression. Burn an enemy with a ray of Holy Fire, dealing 10.3k magic damage over 1.8 seconds. Deals up to 480% more damage to enemies below 50% health. Also deals up to 20% more damage in proportion to your current Magicka. Even though this says 50% health, dude, I would not start spamming this until they're 20%, like most other executes. It's even under 50%, it's not doing that much. So yeah, you definitely still want to wait until about 20% before you start spamming this. Inner Light, it's really just here to increase our max Magicka and give us major prophecy. That's it. On our front bar, we have Fiery Rage. Create a catalytic storm at the target location that builds for 2 seconds, then lay waste to all enemies in the area, dealing 8.6k flame damage every 1 second for 7 seconds. So, if you have your Mage skill fully leveled, you could put whatever Morphin Meteor you're wanting to use here. That would be my recommendation. If you have Mage skill leveled up. If you don't, just throw Fire Rage here. Back bar, we're using Blockade of Fire. Slam your staff down or create a flaming barrier in front of you, dealing 1k flame damage to enemies in the target area every 1 second. Burning enemies take 20% more damage from this ability. This is literally the only ability that is not magic damage. Because magic damage, magic damage, magic damage, magic damage, flame damage, magic damage, magic damage. So, Blazing Spear. Lasts for 10 seconds. Send your spear into the heavens to bring down a shower of divine wrath, dealing 7.8k magic damage to enemies in the area and an additional 772 magic damage every 1 second for 10 seconds. Now, at full rank, this may last longer. I'm not sure. I've always kind of used the other morph to kind of help out with the group with resources and stuff like that, but I've recently switched over this because I want to be a little more selfish with my DPS. An ally near the spear can activate the Blessed Shard synergy, restoring 3.9k Magicka or stamina, whichever maximum is higher. Solar Barrage. Conjure solar energy to blast enemies around you, dealing 2.1k magic damage every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. While this ability is active, you gain in power, increase in damage to your light and heavy attacks by 40%. If you have trouble weaving in those light attacks in between your abilities, I wouldn't use Solar Barrage. I mean, that's where the damage that this does is decent, but it's not that great. It's mostly used for the empower. But if you kind of have trouble, you can put Vampire's Bane here. You can go either, Soul Trap, or the other morph, the Consuming Trap, I think. So either way, both of them abilities will do more damage for you than Solar Barrage if you have trouble light attack weaving. Just keep that, just a heads up on that. Channel Focus. Create a rune of celestial protection. While active, this rune grants you major resolve, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 5.9k. You also recover 240 Magicka every 1 second. Standing within the rune increases your physical and spell resistance granted by 50%. So, in the rune, recovers your resistances are 27.7 and 20.8. Out of it, 24.8 and 17.9. So they go down a little bit. So, just bear that in mind. Plus, it's really good to help us sustain in long, drawn-out fights. It's really good just to have down to allow us to keep going. Maybe the healer isn't using orbs or throwing shards or doing anything. This just kind of helps us out in maintaining ourselves. So, and then we have Channeled Acceleration. Bend time and space around you to gain major expedition for 12 seconds and minor force for 36 seconds. Increasing your movement speed by 30% and critical damage by 10%. If you don't have this, comes from the Sigil line. If you don't want to be bothered with doing the Sigil line, Fire's Guild, Barb Trap, take it to Rearming Trap, and at full rank, it will be 16 seconds. It's how long it will last instead of 12. So, and then Crescent Sweep. This is the main ultimate that we use to begin with. Look how 71 ultimate. We swing our spear around with Holy Vengeance, dealing 8.8k magic damage to all nearby enemies and an additional 4.2k magic damage every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. Enemies in your path will be hit for 60% more damage. So, that is pretty much it for the skills. Now, when it comes to damage in general, this build is anywhere between 31 to 33k. It's not a hard-hitting ability or a hard-hitting setup, but it's enough to let you do most vet content. 30k is more than enough to get through most dungeons, and 30k should be enough to get you into trials, at least vet trials. Maybe not score runs, but at least vet runs. To get your Cloud Rest +3, that should be enough to get you in there. That Cloud Rest +3, that should be enough to get you in there to get that done. To get your Sororias, it should be enough to get whatever sets you're looking for, and to farm most dungeons to get your purple jewelry or for whatever. It should be enough to get you in Sunspire, to get your False Gods if that's what you want to run. Or if you just want something easy to run around with on a character to do random dungeons with for that daily, for that extra XP and stuff. This is a easy setup that you will have no trouble doing normal dungeons with, no matter what the dungeon is, and you will have no problem doing almost any vet dungeons. I've ran this setup through countless ones, and I've had no problems. If there's any problems, it's usually because the tank is a tank. But this isn't something that's going to, you know, set records. This is just a pretty easy standard setup to get. Now, when it comes to DPS testing, you're going to buff up. So you're going to hit your Sigil or Barb Trap, whichever one you want to use here. This one will last for 36 seconds. So you're going to this, Blockade, Light, Blazing Spear, Light, and Power, Bar Swap. Degenerate, Purify, Light, Jab, Jab, Jab. Bar Swap, and let's go. Or Wall, Shards, and Power, Bar Swap, Degenerate. That's it. 3. That's all it takes. Now, on your about every 3 rotate, or every 2 rotations, you're going to do this. You're going to put your ruin back down, and just continue it, and you'll do 2 spears. And then every 3, on the 3rd, you'll channel acceleration. Oh. And just kind of keep it going. So pretty much starting out, you'll be able to buff up first. But that's pretty much the setup. It's really easy to use. It's really easy to get. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you're having fun with your Templar or what setups you use. So until next time, take care.